One story, one decision. Everything changed. The text came in at 9:47 on a Tuesday night. I remember the time because I was rinsing a coffee cup and my phone lit up on the counter beside the sink, and I dried my hands before I picked it up the way I always do. My daughter Madison had sent 4 sentences. I read them twice. Then I set the phone face down and finished washing the cup because I did not trust my hands to hold it steady. Dad, I need to be honest with you. Connor's family is paying for a lot of the wedding, and they have a certain image. Mom agrees it's better if you sit this one out. Please don't make this harder than it has to be. Connor's family was paying for a lot of the wedding. I knew exactly how much Connor's family was paying, down to the dollar, because I had spent the previous 11 months making sure they would never have to pay for the one thing that mattered most. I had paid for the venue myself, in secret, and not one person in that text thread knew it. My name is Raymond. People who have known me a long time call me Ray. I spent 31 years as a structural engineer, the kind of work where a single wrong number on a single page can put a parking garage on the ground with cars still inside it. So I learned early to be careful, quiet, and exact. I am not a loud man. I can't remember ever raising my voice at my daughter. I think that is part of why Madison and her mother both assumed, that Tuesday night, that I would simply absorb this the way I had absorbed everything else for the past 6 years. Swallow it. Move on. Pretend it didn't hurt. Say nothing. For the first hour, that is exactly what I did. I sat at my kitchen table and I said nothing to anyone. And in that silence, I started to do the only thing I have ever really known how to do when something is broken. I started counting. Let me take you back, because the text did not come out of nowhere. Nothing ever does. Madison is my only child. Her mother, Diane, and I were married for 22 years before the divorce went through in the spring of 2019. I will not pretend the marriage was a happy one near the end, and I will not sit here and tell you I was a perfect husband, because I was not. I worked too much. I missed 2 of her birthdays to job sites in other states. But I never lied to Diane. I never raised a hand to anyone. And when she told me in 2018 that she had been seeing a man named Gerald from her office for the better part of a year, I did not scream or break anything. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment off Henderson Road, and I signed the papers, and I gave her the house on Cromwell because Madison had grown up in it, and I did not want to be the reason my daughter lost her bedroom. That decision cost me about $340,000 in equity. I mention the number because the number matters later. After the divorce, something shifted in how Madison saw me, and it did not happen all at once. Diane married Gerald in 2020. Gerald sells commercial real estate, drives a leased German car he reminds people is German, and has a way of talking about money that makes you understand he has never once worried about it, and assumes the same of everyone in the room. Madison was 21 when her mother remarried, old enough to make her own judgments, and the judgment she slowly arrived at, with a great deal of help from Diane and Gerald, was that her father was the small, gray, boring man in the cheap apartment, and her stepfather was the one who knew how the world actually worked. I watched it happen over Sunday dinners I was invited to less and less often. I watched it happen in the way Madison started saying Gerald thinks before opinions that used to be her own. I never fought it. I told myself she was young, that she would come around, that a daughter does not forget the man who taught her to ride a bike on the Olentangy Trail and sat up with her the whole night she had pneumonia when she was 9. I told myself a lot of things between 2020 and 2024. Most of them turn out to be wrong. In early 2024, Madison got engaged to Connor. Connor's family, the Whitfields, are the sort of people who have a family office, which I learned is a phrase rich people use for the staff who manage their money. Connor's father, Bradford Whitfield, owns a chain of orthopedic clinics across 3 states. They live in New Albany in a house with a name. I met them exactly twice before the wedding planning began, and both times Bradford shook my hand, looked over my shoulder for someone more interesting, and called me Roger once and Richard the other time. I corrected him the first time. I did not bother the second. When the engagement happened, I made my daughter a promise. Not out loud, and not to her. I made it to myself, sitting in my apartment looking at the photo she had posted, the one where she was crying and holding up her ring, and Diane had commented, "My baby girl," with 11 heart emojis. I promised myself that whatever else had gone wrong between us, my daughter was going to have the wedding she dreamed about, and I was going to be the one who made the most important part of it real, and I was not going to say a single word about it to anybody. So in February of 2024, I drove out to a place called Stonebrook Hall. If you have never been to Stonebrook, picture a restored 1890s estate on 40 acres about 30 minutes northeast of the city, with a stone terrace that looks out over a valley, and a ballroom with the original chestnut floors, and a garden where they have been hosting weddings since before I was born. Madison had mentioned Stonebrook exactly one time, 2 years earlier, at a Sunday dinner, before the distance set in. She had been scrolling on her phone, and she stopped and turned it around and said, "Dad, look at this place. This is where I want to get married someday." And I had looked, and I had said it was beautiful, and she had locked her phone, and the moment had passed, and she probably forgot it within the hour. I did not forget it. I do not forget things. It is the one quality that made me good at my job and difficult to live with, depending on who you ask. Stonebrook books 18 months to 2 years out, and the Saturday in September that Madison wanted, the date she and Connor had set, was already being circled by 3 other couples when I called. The events director was a woman named Patricia, 60-something, sharp, kind, the kind of person who has watched 1,000 families come through her doors and can read all of them in about 4 minutes. I told Patricia the truth, because I have found the truth is usually the most efficient thing to say. I told her my daughter wanted to be married at Stonebrook, that I was divorced, that the bride's mother and stepfather were handling the visible planning, and that I wanted to pay for the venue myself and have my name kept off everything the family would see. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You want to give your daughter her dream, and you don't want any credit for it." "That's about right," I said. The full venue fee for that Saturday, including the ceremony garden, the ballroom, the terrace, the catering minimum for 180 guests, the service staff, and the 4-hour bar package, came to $112,000. I paid the deposit of $40,000 on February 19th, 2024, on a card I opened specifically so the statements would come to my apartment and nowhere else. I paid the second installment in June. I paid the balance, the final $32,000, on January 8th of this year, 8 months before the wedding date, so that everything would be settled and clean and there would be no loose threads on the day my daughter walked across that terrace. To put that number in plain terms, I drained most of what was left of my retirement accounts to do it. I am 58. I had been planning to stop working at 65. After January 8th, that timeline became 68, maybe 70. I did the math at my kitchen table, the same table where I would later read that text, and I decided my daughter's wedding was worth 3 more years of work. I want to be honest that I did not make that decision easily. I made it the way I make every decision, slowly, on paper, and then I committed to it completely. Here is the part that still turns my stomach a little when I think about it. The Whitfields, Connor's family, the people paying for a lot of the wedding, believed they had gotten Stonebrook for a steep discount. Diane had told Madison, and Madison had told Connor, and Connor had told his parents that Stonebrook had offered a friends and family rate because someone Diane knew was connected to the estate. That story was a fiction Diane invented to explain why the most expensive venue in the county had suddenly become affordable. She invented it because she could not imagine the real explanation. She could not imagine that the small gray man in the apartment off Henderson Road had quietly written a check for $112,000 and asked for nothing. So when Bradford Whitfield bragged at the engagement party, which I was not invited to but heard about in detail, that we made sure these kids are getting married somewhere worthy of the family, he was standing on a floor I had paid for, and he did not know it. And that was exactly how I had wanted it. I did not need Bradford to know. I needed Madison to have her day. Those were two different things, and I had made my peace with the gap between them. Until 9:47 on a Tuesday night in July, when the gap stopped being something I could make peace with. Let me read you the text again, because I have read it enough times that I know it by heart now. Dad, I need to be honest with you. Connor's family is paying for a lot of the wedding, and they have a certain image. Mom agrees it's better if you sit this one out. Please don't make this harder than it has to be. Sit this one out. As if her wedding were a hand of cards. As if I were a man who had wandered in off the street and asked to be dealt in. Connor's family is paying for a lot of the wedding. The venue alone was 60% of the total cost, and the venue was mine, and not one of them knew it, and my own daughter was telling me to stay home, so I would not embarrass the people standing on the floor I bought. I want to tell you that I felt rage in that moment, because rage would be simpler. What I actually felt was a kind of cold clarity, the same feeling I used to get when I found the error in a set of drawings at 2 in the morning, the moment when the noise stops and the answer is just sitting there, obvious, waiting for you to act on it. I sat at my table, and I did not call Madison. I did not call Diane. I did not type a furious reply and delete it and type another one, which is what most people do and what they were probably expecting me to do. Instead, I made a cup of coffee, even though it was almost 10 at night, and I opened my laptop and I pulled up the contract from Stoneberg Hall. I read all 14 pages, slowly, the way I read everything. And on page 9, in a paragraph Patricia had walked me through back in February, I found the clause I already knew was there, the cancellation and transfer clause. The contract was in my name and my name alone. Diane's name was not on it. The Whitfields' names were not on it. Madison's name was not on it. As the sole contracting party and the sole payer of the entire $112,000 fee, I had the absolute right to cancel the booking or transfer the date, in writing, with no one's permission but my own, up to 30 days before the event. The wedding was 53 days away. I closed the laptop. I did not do anything that night. I have learned that the worst decisions get made in the first hour, and I had already used my first hour just reading the text and counting. So I went to bed, and I did not sleep much. And in the morning I drove to work at the firm where I still take contract jobs 3 days a week, and I sat with it for 4 more days. In those 4 days, 2 things happened that made my decision for me. The first happened on Thursday. Diane called me, not to apologize, and not to soften what Madison had sent. She called to make sure I understood the logistics. She used that word, logistics. She said, and I wrote this down afterward because I wanted to remember it exactly. Ray, I know the text was blunt, but Madison's right, and honestly it's for the best. Gerald and Bradford get along so well, and it's going to be a certain kind of crowd, and you just feel out of place. You've always hated those things anyway. Let's just keep it simple. Then she paused and added, and we're going to need you to still send the gift, of course. Madison was hoping for help with the honeymoon. They wanted me gone from the wedding, and they wanted my money for the honeymoon. I said, let me think about it, Diane, and I hung up, and I sat in my car in the firm's parking lot for 20 minutes. The second thing happened on Saturday. Madison posted a photo on her social media. It was a picture of her and Connor and Bradford and Diane and Gerald, the 5 of them, standing on the stone terrace at Stoneberg Hall during a planning visit, all of them laughing, the valley spread out behind them in the afternoon light. The caption read, "So grateful for the family that's making this day perfect. Couldn't do it without every single one of you." Every single one of you. Standing on my terrace. The terrace I paid for, so moments like that could happen. And I was not in it. And I was not meant to be in it. And the people who were in it were being thanked for a gift they did not give. I looked at that photo for a long time. Then I did something I had not done in 6 years. I stopped telling myself she would come around. On Monday morning, July 21st, I called Patricia at Stoneberg Hall. I want to be clear about something, because this is the part where people listening might expect me to say, I burned it all down out of spite. I did not. I am not built that way. And even at the worst moment, I was not going to ruin my daughter's wedding day standing up in front of 180 people. What I was going to do was tell the truth, in the right order, to the right people, and let the truth do the work. At some point, you stop protecting people from the truth. Patricia remembered me immediately. I told her what had happened, all of it, in the calm, flat voice I use for bad news. She was quiet, and then she said, Mr. Raymond, I have worked here for 26 years, and I have seen families do ugly things. This is one of the uglier ones. Then she asked me the only question that mattered. What do you want to do? I told her I wanted to exercise the cancellation and transfer clause, and I told her exactly how I wanted it done, and then I asked her one favor that was not in any contract. I asked her to do nothing for 48 hours, so that I could be the one to deliver the news myself, in person, in the right room, before the official cancellation notice went out from the estate. Patricia agreed. She said, and I will remember this for the rest of my life. 26 years, and I've been waiting to help somebody do this the clean way. Here is what the clean way looked like. That Wednesday, July 23rd, there was a planning dinner. It happened every 2 weeks at Diane and Gerald's house on Cromwell, the house I gave up in the divorce, and I knew about it because Madison's younger cousin Tyler, who is 19 and one of the few people in that family who still texts me on my birthday, mentioned it to me without realizing what he was handing over. The two families were meeting, the Whitfields and Diane and Gerald, to finalize the seating chart and the catering numbers. Everyone who mattered would be in one room. I was not invited, which was the entire point. I drove to Cromwell at 7:15 that evening, parked on the street I used to park in every day for 22 years, walked up the path I had poured the concrete on myself in 2011, and rang the doorbell of the house that used to be mine. Gerald answered. His face did a complicated thing when he saw me, surprise and irritation and a quick glance back over his shoulder. Ray, this isn't really a good time. We're in the middle of something. I know exactly what you're in the middle of, I said. I'll only need 10 minutes. Then I'll go, and I won't come back. I think it was the won't come back that made him step aside. Maybe he thought it was a threat. It was just a fact. I walked into the dining room of my old house. The table was covered in seating charts and fabric swatches, and a laptop showing the Stoneberg floor plan, my floor plan, the one I had a copy of in a drawer at home. Madison was at the head of the table next to Connor. Diane was across from them. Bradford and his wife, Eleanor, were on the long side, and Bradford had a glass of red wine in his hand and the expression of a man whose evening has just been interrupted by the help. Roger, Bradford said, we're a little busy here. It's Raymond, I said, and I'll be quick. Madison stood up. Her face had gone pale and tight. Dad, what are you doing here? I texted you. We talked about this. You texted me. I agreed. You didn't talk to me. There's a difference. I'm not here to argue about the text, Madison. You're an adult, and you can invite whoever you want to your wedding. I came to tell all of you something about the wedding itself, and then I'll leave you to your seating chart. The room had gone silent. Bradford set down his wine. I looked at my daughter, and I kept my voice level, because the whole point was that it stay level. Stoneberg Hall isn't booked under a friends and family rate. There's no friend of your mother's connected to the estate. That story isn't true. I turned to Diane when I said the last part, and she looked at the table. The venue was booked in February of last year by one person, I said. It was paid in full by that same person in 3 installments, the last one on January 8th of this year. $112,000. The ceremony garden, the ballroom, the terrace where you took that photo last week, the catering for 180, the bar, all of it. One contract, one name. I did not say the name. I did not have to. Bradford was already looking at Diane with a new expression. Connor was looking at Madison. And Madison was looking at me with the first uncertain face I had seen on her in years, the face she used to make at 9 years old when she knew the answer to something was about to change everything she thought she understood. Whose name? Connor asked quietly. He was the only one in the room with the nerve to ask. Mine, I said. Nobody spoke. Eleanor Whitfield put her hand over her mouth. Bradford's face had gone a deep red that had nothing to do with the wine. I paid for the venue, I said, because 18 months ago Madison told me Stonebrook was where she dreamed of getting married, and I wanted to give her that, and I didn't want anyone's thanks for it. I never told a soul. I was happy to stand at the back or not stand anywhere at all, as long as my daughter got her day. That was the plan right up until Tuesday night, when my daughter texted me that I should sit out her wedding so I wouldn't embarrass the family that was, and I'm quoting the text, paying for a lot of it. The family paying for a lot of it, I said, wasn't paying for the venue. The venue is 60% of this entire wedding, and I paid for every dollar of it. And 3 days ago, I watched all of you stand on my terrace in a photograph thanking each other, with me cut out of the frame, because I was supposedly the part that would embarrass everyone. Diane finally spoke. Ray, you should have told us. If we'd known, things would have been different. I know they would have, I said. That's the problem, Diane. If you'd known I paid, you'd have wanted me there. You didn't want me there because you thought I'd given nothing. You measured whether I belonged at my own daughter's wedding by what you thought I was worth, and you got the number wrong. That was the only sharp thing I said the entire night, and I said it softly. Then I told them the rest. This morning I notified Stonebrook Hall that I'm exercising the cancellation and transfer clause in the contract, which is mine to exercise, since the contract is in my name alone. As of tomorrow morning, the September booking is released. Madison made a sound. Dad, no. No, you can't. The invitations are out. It's in 7 weeks. You can't just. I can't, I said gently, and I have. But Madison, I want you to hear the second half, because I didn't drive over here just to take something away from you. I took an envelope out of my coat. Inside it was a single page, printed that afternoon, with Patricia's signature on it. Stonebrook is releasing this September Saturday, I said, and transferring the entire paid balance, all $112,000, into a new contract. The new contract has the same date, the same garden, the same ballroom, the same terrace. Everything you plan still happens. Patricia has agreed to honor every detail. The only thing that changes is the name on the contract and the conditions attached to it. I set the envelope on the seating chart in front of my daughter. The new contract is in your name, Madison. Yours alone, not your mother's, not Connor's parents, not mine. The venue is paid in full and it belongs to your day, with 2 conditions written into it, and Patricia will enforce them or the transfer doesn't complete. I held up one finger. The first condition is that the friends and family rate story gets corrected, in writing, to both families, so that nobody at that wedding spends the evening believing the Whitfields paid for a floor they didn't pay for. I held up a second finger. The second condition is that my name never appears on anything. No announcement. No thank you. No speech. I don't want credit. I never did. I just wasn't going to let anyone else take it while telling me to stay home. I looked at Bradford then, just once. Your family is welcome to contribute to the wedding, Mr. Whitfield. There's a flowers budget, a music budget, a honeymoon. Plenty left to pay for. You'll just be paying for it knowing what you didn't pay for. I buttoned my coat. That's everything, I said. Madison, the venue is yours, free and clear, no matter what you decide about me. You can still have your perfect day and never speak to me again. That's your right, and I won't fight you on it. I only had one rule for tonight, and it was that you'd make that choice knowing the truth instead of a story somebody made up to keep me small. I turned to leave. I had my hand on the front door of the house that used to be mine when I heard a chair scrape behind me, and then my daughter's voice, and it did not sound like the voice that sent the text. It sounded like the 9-year-old with pneumonia. Dad, wait. I stopped. I did not turn around right away because my own face was doing something I did not want the room to see. Why didn't you tell me? She asked. All this time. Why would you pay for all of it and let me, treat you like? Because I didn't do it to be thanked, I said. I did it because you're my daughter, and the day you were born I decided there wasn't a number I wouldn't pay for you, and I've never once changed my mind about that. Not Tuesday night. Not standing here. The money was always yours, Madison. I just needed you to know it came from me, and I needed the people at that table to know it too. I left. I drove back to my apartment off Henderson Road, and I sat at my kitchen table, the same one, and for the first time in 6 years the silence in that apartment did not feel like something I was holding in. It felt like something I had set down. I'll tell you how it ended, since I know that's what you're waiting for. The wedding happened in September, on the same Saturday, at Stonebrook Hall, on the terrace overlooking the valley. The friends and family rate story was corrected, in writing, exactly as the contract required, and I am told Bradford Whitfield did not say a single word at the rehearsal dinner, which for him is the loudest thing he has ever done. Diane and I are not friends and never will be, and that is fine. Gerald avoided me the entire evening, which suited us both. I was there, not because anyone made a speech, and not because my name was on anything, since I made sure it wasn't. I was there because 8 days after that dinner, Madison drove to my apartment off Henderson Road, sat at my kitchen table, and asked me to walk her down the aisle. She cried when she asked. So did I, although I'll deny it if you ever meet me. I walked my daughter across the terrace I paid for, in front of 180 people who mostly had no idea, and that was the whole point. And it was worth every dollar, and every year I added back onto my working life. I retire at 70 now instead of 65. I made my peace with that number a long time ago, at a kitchen table, with a dish towel over my shoulder and a phone lying face down beside the sink. Some things you don't do for credit. You do them, and then you wait, quietly, for the day the truth gets to stand up on its own.